everybody, it's Kathy again. Now that we're stuck in the house, look, for like the last week or so, I've been doing like little jobs that I hate doing, like taking everything out of cupboards and cleaning them out, like washing them out, that kind of thing. So this is a good day to do my sodium video. But one thing, if you have paneling, like this kitchen is all paneling. I love it, as you can see from the orange, that it's like straight out of the 70s. I'd like to change the orange someday, probably never will, but I love the wood in this thing. So when my mother was still alive, I picked up some stuff called Wood Doctor, but this she couldn't. It's really, really, really strong lemon smell, so she couldn't stand that. So I waited, and now I finally get around to being able to do it. So I'll show you because it does work really good. All right, you know, like places where people grab a lot, like here, and you get like that circle around, and I don't care if you wipe it and everything, it seems like you get that. It's like oil or something like that. Well, it took all that off. It didn't have a lot anyway, but it didn't damage any of the finish or anything. And some places where it was like high along the edge, where there might be dust or something like that, is one wipe inside the cupboards. I did a light spray and wipe, everything came off. It's like, this is great, because sometimes you sit there and scrub and rinse, scrub. Anyway, it does a really, really good job. So if you have paneling, something, that stuff works. No, it's not a promotion or anything. It's just something that I did get that works, and I figured I'd let you know. So aside from that, now that I have all the spices and stuff out, I think I will show you some of the salt substitutes and some things that are a surprise, because quite often I've gotten stuff that I thought was perfectly fine and it's really not. So let me put this on pause and flip the phone over, and hopefully it won't shut off. And just 1 second. Okay, let's see. How's that? I kind of had, let me put some light. There we go. I kind of have it hanging because I haven't been able to get the stick yet. So this will work though. I think this will work. So the first thing, there's one that I didn't put out, but that's okay. The first thing I'll show you is, we all know Mrs. Dash. All right, I have the regular original blend that I use for cooking. It's coarser than this, but this is the table blend, if you see it. Oh, it goes up, there we go. I don't want to get it out of focus, but it's much finer than the original blend. And this is good for like after you've done cooking. The other one is good, coarser, so it's good for cooking. I mean, you can use this too, but this is good for like on top of things, so that you don't get like big pieces of anything like stuck in their teeth or whatever. One that I found that I had never seen is this one here. It's called Fiesta Lime, and when I first got it, I was questionable, and I tried it myself. But I tried it on like just plain, which is not a good thing to do because it was like, what the heck? But if you put this on fish, or I've put it on chicken, I've put it on a lot of things. I have not put it on turkey, but that's just me. But it's really, really good. Really, really, really good. So as you can see, it I did leave the top open, so it's got like a chunk in there. I left it open. So there is a hint though, is when you're doing seasoning, put it in your hand and then throw it in whatever, because if you go over a hot pot, guess what? All the steam goes in there and everything turns into chunky messes, which I think that's what happened here. It's got a chunk. So anyway, now this one here, this is awesome. This is lemon pepper, salt-free. It's from Aldi's. Now, if you get salt-free seasoning, I've looked at it a couple of times and never got it because it had a lot of sodium in it. But this one has none. So that's a really good one. So that's Aldi's lemon pepper. Very, very, very good. Now, this is one of the first ones that I tried. It's from McCormick. It's Perfect Pinch. Garlic and herb. And no MSG. I got this one first because my mother couldn't have MSG. And she wasn't one of those in your head can't have MSG. She really couldn't. So I had to make sure that everything didn't have MSG. I've been reading labels forever and a day. But this one here is another one that you can tell that I don't pay attention, and it goes right over the pan sometimes and ends up with chunks. But that's okay. Because I actually use them so much. Because I do a lot of cooking. I use them so much that they just, nothing has a chance to go bad. Now this one here I got as a try, and it is really good. It's Tony Cheri's Famous Creole Cuisine, no salt seasoning blend. And I don't really get the idea of Creole from it. I guess it could be a little bit, but it's got a lot of flavor. Lot of flavor, a lot of spice, but it's not hot. So, like, you won't have tender palates getting upset with you. So, that one is like probably one of my favorites right now. Here's a couple actually. No. I was going to go out of order here for a second, but I'm not going to. Smoked paprika. Now, this was one of the first no salt. I mean, that wasn't like labeled no salt. I looked because I tried it on something, and I'm like, I wonder if that would be a good salt substitute. And guess what? It has no sodium. So it doesn't say it on here, but I did look it up, and smoked paprika has no sodium. So I'm thinking about getting a smoking dome, making a smoking dome, because it would stand to reason that if you smoke something like did a rosemary smoke or something, that it would add the flavor, but without sodium. Because a rosemary smoke is really easy. You take the dried rosemary stick, you let it dry out for like a couple days, and then you let it on fire and stick it under the dome, and that's it. It's really, really easy. So, I mean, you could probably use a bowl. I would probably use a bowl instead of getting a dome. That's kind of silly. Anyway, I digress. Curry powder. Curry powder has a lot of the same things as sodium. Not things in it, but it hits the same part of your tongue. In fact, if you know where your salt and your bitter and your sweet and everything is, if you think about different spices and where they hit your tongue, you'll be able to, that's a good way to find a good salt substitute too, is because they hit that same area, and it will kind of fake out your brain, which is basically all you're trying to do. Enhance flavor, fake out your brain because of your different dietary needs. Here we go. One I use a lot of, garam masala. I've used it in, it's Indian, and it is like a blend. Spices including coriander, black pepper, cumin, cardamom, and cinnamon. This one has no sodium. Make sure you read the label because it's possible that somebody's going to sneak some in there on you. But luckily, this one doesn't have it. And it's really good. I've put it in meatloaf. I've used it in mashed potatoes, on meats, chicken, all that stuff. One thing I did find though is if you're not actually using salt, which many times I don't, if I'm not going to add any extra salt, throw in some lemon rind. Something about lemon rind and the woodsy spices like cinnamon and all that, if you mix the two of them together, that's a good fake out too. I know the Heart Association says lemon, garlic, onion, egg. These are your salt substitutes. Well, that's good, but there are a lot of other options. And if you just don't stick with one thing and you do combinations, you really can come up with some pretty decent. I mean, that's where all these combination things come from. There's not like one thing that you can replace salt. Take the salt out, add sugar. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So anyway, but this one's good. Now, because this one was good, guess what I tried? This one. It's Za'atar, and it's the one. It's very aromatic. I will say that. It has something in there called sumac, and when you first try it, it makes you go, huh, what the heck is that? But it's very good. However, I did notice it has salt in it. So it has sodium, and since every brand is different, and this one doesn't say how much sodium's in it. You see that I stopped using it. I don't use it anymore. So, well, at least not for my dad. Like if I make a something for myself, that I might put it on some fish or something for me, but I won't give it to him because I can't figure out how much sodium is in it. So that's really how I do his diet. I try not to add any extra added sodium. If I really have to, it's at the end. Oh yeah, 1 second. I forgot this stuff. It's, I do use this. It's called Salt for Life. And you have to make sure that you ask your doctor because it has a lot of potassium. And if somebody has a problem with potassium, that it's not good for them. But I asked, the doctor said it was fine. So, because he has to take potassium anyway, so this is actually good. So, but the only amount that I use of this is, I'll show you what I do. He has 2 eggs every morning. I go like that. And I sprinkle it right on the top and like that on his egg. And it's when he takes the little bite, you see that's not even 1/8 of a teaspoon there. That's like nothing. So and you take a bite and it's the first thing that hits your tongue. You can taste it. So if you really, really, really have to use salt, do something like that, but put it on last. And a really good trick is put it on in front of them. Like give them their lunch or dinner, and just 1 second, and keep going like this even when there's nothing, and like it's all gone. Keep going like this, and psychosomatic, it works. Trust me, it works because I've done it when he couldn't have any extra soda, like zero sodium, and I've done that and he's liked it better. So sometimes it's easy. he won't consistently fall for it, but it works sometimes. So a lemon rind. The juice is good for some things, but the rind, everybody knows, microplane. Ooh, let me do it backwards. But you just go like, and you just get the yellow part. Oh, that smells so good. I'm gonna have to make something with lemon now. Anyway, that'll be for supper. I'll do something with lemon. Okay, now we've done the salt-free stuff and the couple of the, let's be careful. How about these? Because these are really, really a shocker. All right, Old Bay. Everybody loves Old Bay. Old Bay, where's my note? Old Bay in a quarter of a teaspoon. It's a quarter of a teaspoon. Like, you can't use a half of that. I mean, a quarter of a teaspoon is like tiny, unless you just did that little finger thing on top. A quarter of a teaspoon has 160. Let's put that here because it'll shock you. Okay. Good substitute for this. Bell seasoning has 0. But mix it with celery seeds. Now, celery itself has a goodly amount of sodium in it. It really does. I massacred this box when I opened it. I use celery mostly like in egg salad or something. And I'll give my dad like a quarter of a stalk. Take the stalk, slice it long ways in 3, and then cut it in like little cubes so that he gets the crunch and the flavor, but the sodium is limited. And in that case, there would be absolutely no extra sodium because the salt takes up for it. And also, then in that case, I use raw onion too. In those cases, that onion and celery combined like that when it's raw are a really good salt substitute too, because besides just the texture, is that the celery has the sodium and the onion has that real pungent flavor, so it does cover up a lot. But instead of Old Bay, and add a little bit of hot pepper or something, and you'll be cranking out there. That will work out. Another thing to be careful of, garlic salt. This isn't even mine. I have not bought garlic salt, I don't think, in my entire life. But I always figured I'll use garlic powder if I want salt, then I can figure out how much salt I want to use. But it's like this, you know. There's so much sodium in this, I don't think, yeah, it doesn't even tell you how much is in there. That's how much is in there. My guess, it's more than half salt. From the looks of it, it's more than half salt, so it's pretty high. So just use garlic powder. Use garlic powder, lemon rind, or the other one that works too is orange. And if you can't find fresh, I found these. And I've used this. The lemon peel works good. It works really, really good. And hopefully these are staying. Yes. And then this one is orange peel. All right. It looks like an almond, but it looks like it's supposed to be a teaspoon of this stuff. Anyway, it's not orange colored, but let me tell you, it smells really good. So I used it once, but it was in like something I baked. So what I'd like to do is try it on top of maybe a fish or something like cod. That orange and basil. Ooh, there we go. Orange and basil. Chicken. There we go. I'll do it on chicken. I'll try that sometime. So, but they do have the dried if you can't find fresh. And especially like you can get organic. And sometimes the fresh organic stuff is very price prohibitive. So that's another way to go. Okay, let's see, we're on this one. This is gonna shock you. Okay. Low sodium soy sauce. I don't even know high sodium. Oops. But low sodium soy sauce. Alrighty. Low sodium soy sauce. 1 tablespoon has 575. So regular, you know, it's up there. And do we remember the Old Bay? 160 for a 1/4 teaspoon. So actually a teaspoon per teaspoon. Old Bay has more sodium than reduced sodium soy sauce. When I found that out, I was just like, what? Oh my goodness, I can't take it no more. And the other one that got me was the share. You go like, oh yeah, here we go. That's a salt lick for you. But it's really not. 1 teaspoon has 50 milligrams. So use a quarter of a teaspoon. This is a whole lot of flavor in this bottle. 1/4 of a teaspoon. You're talking like maybe 12 milligrams. Not bad. Add a couple of drops of fish sauce, which is high in itself. But mix the two together with some water. Dilute this down but a couple of drops of that stuff. And I think you have a pretty good substitute for soy sauce. But you do have to dilute this a bit because it's kind of, not half and half or anything, just a little bit. But this fish sauce here, this is from the Chinese market, and it's $2.50 for half a teaspoon, which, if you're making a recipe, you're going to use a half a teaspoon. But if you're just making, you want to make a tablespoon of soy sauce substitute for something, a dip, or to put on chop suey or something, that you're using a couple of drops, negligible amount, add another 5 or something, and you're good. This one, now hot sauce can really get you because some of them are super, super high. This one happens to be my favorite, and this one is 1 teaspoon is 110. There's no way my dad's using a whole teaspoon on anything, so the 1 or 2 little squirts that he might use, it's fine with me. Because if you knock that down in half, even a half a teaspoon for him would be an awful lot. So that would be 50, and then again, a lot of flavor. You can balance one off of the other. You can't just go absolutely down to 0. But if you can take something that is less than 50 sodium and enhance food that way, diet's going to be a lot better. Their health is going to be a lot better. Now this one really surprised me too. This is another one that, yikes. I saw this on a website where they use this on mango, and I'm like, yay. Now you see how much I've used of this, right? That should tell you a hint. Can anybody guess? God, oh, I can, me. Where's my thing? All right, this old baby, 190 for a 1/4 teaspoon. This beats the crap out of that one. You believe that? Oh, this one here, it's more than soy sauce. And you look at it, it's like, I don't know what's in there. All right. And when I bought it, this was my bad thing. I didn't bring my glasses with me because my eyes are really going down the tubes. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh no. But they put it on fruit and it's got lime. So I guess it has sugar and stuff in it. No, was I wrong? Oi, oi, oi. It's loaded. So even if you love it, I can't see any way if you've got somebody that's low sodium, just don't even say anything about it and don't even introduce that into their life, because that's like a salt lick. Oh, that's another one. Okay, things to enhance. Enhancements. Anchovies, all by themselves. This is like a what? It's like a 3-inch. Okay, they're almost 3. This is, the top's on and it's kind of oily. I don't know why. Anyway, it's because I keep tipping it. That's why. Anyway, and this has, see, I have used this. I've used some, see. But I only use one. I'll pull out one. If they're broken, I kind of chuck them. But I'll take one because I figured it out that one is, where are you? They were $1.60 for one. So say, what did I make? I made a sauce, like tomato sauce. And I wanted it to be like, not a bolognese, but something that was like hearty, not just like fresh tomato or something like that. I want to be real hearty, so I put one in. And I was using fresh tomatoes anyway from the garden, so I didn't have any sodium from the can and everything. So the one anchovy I wasn't worried about. But if you like to get some kind of a fishish, you know, that the meaning of an anchovy is like, how you use it is you don't put it in like a half a jar. Nobody wants that whole, it's like a little pop of flavor. It's like if people like it on their pizza, it's like a whole pizza will have like maybe 3 or 4 cut up and sprinkled. It's not going to be like huge like that. So it's meant to be like just an enhancer. And if you use it right, it's a wonderful ingredient. If you overdo it, that's why people don't like it. It's just because it's salty, fishy, caca, really. So, but if you'd like something to enhance a flavor and get that same kind of feeling, sardines. And a lot of older people like sardines. Actually, a lot of people have come around to sardines because they're very healthy. They're very good for you. They have all the omegas and everything. I get these skinless and boneless. These are in water. The other one I get, it's in tomato sauce. And I'll pull that. Those have bones, and I'll pull the bone out and kind of rough chop that up and use that as a tomato sauce. There's a thought for you. But with that, you do have to check the brand, because the different brands have different amounts of sodium. But this particular one here, King Oscar, all right, packed in water, sodium's 40 in the whole can. So I make my dad sometimes a salad, and I'll put the whole can on it, and I'll just make sure that like he had like not, it's figured into his day, you know. And he doesn't do that every day. That might be once a week or something that he gets that little treat. He likes it, he enjoys it, and it doesn't kill him. So that works well and good. Which brings me around to condiments. Ketchup, very high in sodium. I try to avoid that at all costs. Same with barbecue sauce, very high in sodium. Now there are some brands that aren't too bad, but we don't use them enough for me to keep them on stock. If I'm going to use ketchup or something, which actually I don't, my dad does sometimes, but I'll only let him have, like, I squirt it in the dish. There's no way he can just go, you know, on his fries or whatever, which I will tell you, I have an air fryer, and I'll show you how that works sometime too. Anyway, So something that would surprise you, because all the low fat and healthy things say use mustard, use mustard. Okay, yellow mustard, plain old yellow mustard. Look at this, a teaspoon 60, which isn't crazy, you know, it's not absolutely crazy. um Ooh, I just noticed. See, this is a good thing to show you that I actually follow my own advice. This expired January 31st, 2019. And that's just been sitting in the bottom of the refrigerator all that time because I don't use it. Because I use others. This one here is from Aldi. All right, Bavarian sweet mustard. It's a grainy. It's really good. Actually, I just got this one the other day, but it's very good. But it has zero. I don't know the difference. Well, this is 0 sodium, so Bavarian sweet mustard. But be careful because this is spicy brown. You would think, spicy brown, maybe that's it. No, this one also, this one has 80. So how's that? In a teaspoon. So another one that I don't use now. And I just replaced this because the other one went empty, so you can't really tell from that, but you can tell how much sodium is in things by how much I use them. So which brings me over to other stuff like this raspberry honey mustard dip. Another one, you'd think that would be safe, but this, it's really not. It's not ridiculously crazy. I mean, if it was like one of those treat for a whole day, or you know, something like that, I'd let them get away with that. Probably 1 tablespoon, because 2 tablespoons has 170, so that's really not outrageous. But if I wanted to, say, put this on chips, dun, da, da, like say you want chips or something that are salty in themselves, now you have to add all that together. And so what do? We take the Bavarian sweet along with honey and just a little bit of red raspberry jam. Mix them together and you've got your substitute here for 0. And now you can use an actual chip with salt to dip, and everybody's happy. Dad being happy is the biggest one because he likes his chips. Holy Toledo. So, and the other thing, I forgot this one here. Liquid smoke. A couple of drops of liquid smoke here and there can do you a lot of good. And a teaspoon, 10 milligrams,